Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon and welcome to another video. If you're liking this sort of content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. Now, it is tier list time. Is this the right time for a tier list? Everyone's always got a different opinion on that. Should we do it at the beginning? Should we do it in the middle? Should we do it at the end? I like to do it at the beginning for a couple of reasons. One, it's something that people will think about more in the general set, trying to get ideas, talking about how decks got to be. Two, it's fun to see if we are correct in our assumptions that certain things will be really good. These things will definitely be changing over the next month or so. We've got the ban list next month. We've got AD01 coming out and the structure decks and all the things leading up to BT25. All these things will be subject to change for a myriad of different reasons. So therefore, it's never a good time to do a tier list, but we do it anyway because it's fun. And thank you very much to Bone Duster. I'm very tired, can you tell? Bone Duster for reminding me that they exist. And so here we are, we're doing it. Of course, he chatted to us on the Discord and said, when are you doing the next tier list? And we kind of said, well, we did the Vajang Tank, but who's to say we don't just continue doing the tier list? We're not going to be looking to do Jank Tank in a hurry, I don't think. People are just not available enough, and that's just not something I'm looking to do right now. And I haven't really thought about Jank Tank all year. But we can certainly still do tier lists for fun, see where things go, see how people vote, and see how many people in the comments tell me it's the wrong time to do a tier list. We'll see. But, we're just having a bit of a laugh at the end of the day. Right, before we get into this tier list, a couple of things we're going to do. First, I don't think we've ever been too particularly clear on each of our tiers. Tier 1, Tier 1.5, Tier 2, Rogue Tier, and Jank Tier. Tier 1, of course, is going to be your broken decks, the ones that shouldn't exist, the ones that need banning, the ones that need they're really good, they're winning all the time, they're absolutely fantastic. Tier 1.5 is the next decks below, which are really good competitively, but just not quite at that level where they're winning all the time. They can get wins, they can do tops, they can do this, they can do that, but they are, not as good as the cream of the crop. Tier 2 is going to be your decks which are, again, another step below. So decks that can do well, can do good here and there, but tend to get lower performing results at these kind of events. And, are just kind of, they're mid. These are the middle of the road. Rogue Tier. Rogue Tier is decks that can do well in certain formats that will creep up because they have one really good matchup, and that matchup really matters. But most of the time, and in generally speaking, they are not going to be doing that good. They're going to be more specialists. They're going to not do that great. And then Jank Tier is reserved for the decks which are complete crap. They are awful. They are fun, but they are bad competitively. They're bad. They're bad, and you should feel bad for playing Jank stuff and not being a meta sheep. Sorry, I'm not too sure what came over me there. I love Jank Tier decks, just to reiterate. I love them to pieces. However, they are bad, and therefore they're at the bottom. But that's the tier list structure that we're going to be... It's not done yet. That implies it's done yet. I'm really fucking tired. I'm not going to lie. But I've got to push through. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. But before we do this, let's take a look and see what kind of lists have been doing well. Granted, we won't have a lot of results for EX11, if any, but we're going to take a look anyway at Digimon card meta and just get an idea of what things have been doing well. Right, and here we are. I have alphabetized everything so that we can kind of see it in some semblance of order, though sometimes there will be things that kind of go out of order because of the way people name things. So for example, some people will put the number 3, some people will put the letter T somewhere. When I find it, I didn't find. I'm fairly sure there's never 3 Musketeers on this. FYI, you might be wondering why I already know this, and it's not just because I looked ahead of time. It's also because this is my 3rd time recording this video. Like and subscribe, ding that notification bell to make all of the technical technical issues I've been having justified. Right, anyways, onto the list. So we've seen a 3 Musketeers list do well here at TCG Shuffle. We've had a Badomon out of nowhere, seemingly, do well here. That was on BT24 release, so maybe that's at a tournament where there weren't really any BT24 decks, who knows. And then We've had Agemon doing well in a couple of spots. We've had an Alter S, so that's going to be Omnimon. We've got Appmon list doing well here. There's Beelstar 3 Musketeers. I went right past it. Beelstar 3 Musketeers. I guess because it's Beelstar focused. Beelzemon Creepy, which is an interesting fusion. Belphamon, Blue-Green Imperial doing well, which always randomly does well every now and again. Less and less nowadays. It's becoming more of a rarity. It's like the Southern White Rhino. Functionally extinct, but you can still technically see them. Is that a dark joke about the ecology of this world? Potentially. And that's all I'm going to say. Anyways, Bloomlord. We've got Bloomlord doing well. Again, that's another deck that does well every now and again. We've got Cerberus Master, which I assume is meant to be Cerberus Maste. So that does do well. We've got Chaosmon getting a 3rd place, technically speaking, but that's cool. We've got Creepymon doing a couple of things. A few different Dark Masters lists here. Some with purple bases, some with red bases. We've got a couple of more creepy ones here, or with the Japanese name Daemon, which is much cooler. And then Creepymon. Creepymon makes him sound like he should be on a list. Diaboromon coming in down here with a few different wins. We've got a couple of Gallantmons. We've got a Digipolice. We've got a couple of Galactics. We've got a Gas. A Gas did well. Cool. We've got a few different hoodies to be expected, though not as much as it used to do, must be said. Imperial Virus. A couple of Jessamon lists here. Leviamon, Lucamon, Magnetic Dramon. A couple of Mastemon here, the pure versions. And then a butt ton of Medusas. This, I think, is the biggest block of stuff on here. Most of this will be BT24 wins. I think this one potentially, and this one could be EX11 potentially, if they immediately cooked the deck that day, in the case of the 13th ones, but could potentially be, most likely going to be BT24 ones. You guys can I'll put the link in the comments in the description to this, so you guys can see it. I'm not going to explore the lists themselves, just because I am finite for time as it is. But if you guys want to check out these lists, please do go to the link below. We've got Metal Siegramon X Chronicle, that's cool. A load of Millenniummon lists. I mean, who'd have thunk it? 2 promos just work. We've got Myotismon taking a distinction here. We've got Nokia Omni, so Omnimon. We've got a few more Jessmon lists, a few Royal Knights, another Rocks, Ryudamon, a few different Sakuyamons. I think the Sakuyamons carry on the next page a little bit. They do indeed. We've got a pure Seadramon list there. Good old Sam will be happy with that. Who's currently repping Seadramon tonight down at Geek Retreat Stevenage at the time you guys are, well, at the time I'm recording this. We've got a few different Titanmon lists, which I would imagine is going to be the new Titan stuff, despite the fact this has got the old Titanmon on it. We've got TS Armor Magnet X. I need to send that to Alex, and that is, by the way, the 3rd time I have said that. We've got I am going to send it to him. We've got the Time Stranger Jupiter list here. Well, there's no other Time Jupiter list, let's be honest. The Maruki list, Minerva, Neptune Maruki, Tios Olympos, which is probably a mix of all of those at the top, so lots of TS representation as to be expected. We've got a Crossheart win here, and we've got a few Zaphagas, and only one of these could be an EX11 one, which is this one. The rest are probably not. Like I say, I'm not checking out these lists now. I probably should, or should have, but who's got the time? Me after this probably, but not now. But yeah, interesting. So lots of different wins all across the board by lots of different decks, looking quite diverse, but there are definitely a few front runners, and we'll be talking about them, won't we? Right, let's head to the tier list and we'll go through our votes as quickly as we can. Right, onto the tier list votes. So interesting thing about this, before you get voting on this, so if you're still watching and not voting, hopefully I caught you before you started voting. This will not be in alphabetical order, because for whatever reason, Tier Maker likes to put the newest things at the bottom, which is kind of annoying. I'm not going to lie. There doesn't seem to be a way of me alphabetizing it, because I try alphabetizing it in the normal Tier Maker template, but once you come to the live poll, it then just ignores you. So we're here. We're going to go through the old stuff as much as possible. Go to this timestamp if you would like to go and take a look at the new decks straight away, if you're not bothered about all the old stuff. If you are bothered about the old stuff, strap on in, get your washing up done, listen to my sultry, tired voice. Yes, that's the thing we are doing. Right. Anyways, Three Great Angels. Three Great Angels. I did get to vote on this one 2 times, and I did put it into tier 2. But I think I'm at the point now where I am tired and I am ruthless and I am angry. So I am actually, crazy as it may be, because Dinaminion I think is really good, I'm gonna stick it in Rogue tier. I think it's too slow in general. I could be wrong, but I'm being ruthless. I want only the best of the best in the upper tiers. I'm putting it in Rogue tier. Go away. 7 Demonors. I am going to put this in Rogue tier. I think it is too slow. I think it doesn't matter that it's got big security bombs. I think most things will just OTK it in a couple of turns, at least the stuff that's right up here in tier 1, and it will just do bad. But not as bad as Jank tier. I think it still potentially has a place in certain matchups. But yeah, it's going in the bin. Well, Rogue tier. Next is Ogubond. I do love Ogubond. I think Ogubond is really fun. I love my little yellow boy. I love, granted he's technically kind of in it, I love my War Greymon. I love Greymon. I'm a Digiboomer. I love it. Ogubond, of course, is not technically a Digiboomer thing, but it was celebrating Digiboomer things, and therefore I love it. I won with it in Jank Tank last year. I love the deck, and it is with a sad heart that I put it in Jank tier. Just because I don't think it's going to do very well in this format. Alpha Chronicle, technically we saw a Chronicle list do well and get at least 1 win. I think I'm going to pop this in Rogue tier. Alpha Classic, I'm going to do the same thing because it's got a lot of protection. We've got Ancient Garurumon. I think Ancient Garurumon can do well with the right pilots. I'm tier 2 or Rogue tier. It could be our first tier 2. Do I think it's good enough to be tier 2 now? It's kind of has issues finding its pieces. I mean, it's saying it, but we've got Digiclay open. That could help it. We have had some more consistency tools since it first came out. Do you know what? I'll be nice. I'll put it in tier 2. Screw it. And Goromon, Jank, easy decision. Argomon, Jank, easy decision. Barbamon, Jank, easy decision. You might be wondering why I didn't say any of those. If you know those decks, you know why I've put them in Jank tier. If you don't know those decks, quick TLDR. Agoromon never does really that well. It tries to do green stuff, and green stuff does not do well for it. Argomon really needs the EX3. No, BT. The old Argomon. It's definitely not an EX set. It's a core set. But the old Argomon, it really needs that to come off the limited list. It probably never will. So therefore, it's Jank. Barbamon X tries to do hand rip stuff. Tries to be really cool. Can do okay, but not good enough. Beelstar Loop. This used to be a deck that really confused me back in the day. Not gonna lie, given how tired I am tonight, I probably would. Still. But I think Beelstar... I mean, you can't really play it with the new Beelstar mons, or maybe you can. I don't know it well enough. Maybe I should have had a tier for stuff I don't know well enough, maybe, or stuff that you guys don't know well enough. Who knows? But I'm going to pop it in Jank tier. Blue-Green Imperial. Okay, you might be wondering why it's got the banned thing if you're new to the channel. That's got it there because in Jank Tank it was banned because it won the very first Champion of Champions tournament, so we banned it forever. It's no longer banned forever from us. It can be played again. Huzzah! So therefore, it can be used. Now, do I think it's Rogue tier or tier 2? Because it has dropped quite a lot. I think I'm going to be nice and put it in tier 2, just because I think every now and again people will cook with this and still do really well. Birds. I loved Birds back when Garudamon X was at full power, but obviously for very good reasons Garudamon X got limited, and I have never gotten on with this deck since. I'm putting it in Jank tier. People might disagree with that, but I'm putting it in Jank tier. Black Hybrid. I'm also going to put that in Jank tier. Too slow. Black or Greymon OTK. You can do some interesting things with this. You can use DM engines. You can use Greymon engines. You can put it in Dorbic-mon. You can do a lot of different things with it that are kind of cool. However, I think we all agree there are much faster, much more consistent, much more powerful OTKs now, and this is very much just a nice thing to play with from the past. It's like going in the attic and finding Grandad's old Scale Electrics. Janked it. Bloomlord. We've got... This does well every now and again, to be fair. I don't think I'm going to put it in the same vein as Blue-Green Imperial, despite the fact it got that win. I'm going to put it in Rogue tip. Blue Armor. I think this could still do well. I mean, Macamon X is still busted. I'm going to put it into tier 2, I think. I know it's kind of the same tier as these guys, but I'm going to put it in tier 2 just because I don't think it's that fast. Blue Flare, I think, could potentially still do okay. Has stunning effects, which some decks can get around. Like Hoodie could just be like, oh, you stunned me? Oh, well, DNA. I'm not stunned now, am I, bish? So I'm gonna pop that into Rogue tier. D-Brigade Digipolice, technically speaking, did get new support. I don't know if it's really that good for the deck. It's got a lot of Digivolve, does suspending stuff. Obviously, it's technically Seeker support as well, so we'll talk about it then. I think Rogue tier for this as well. I'm not that impressed by it. Bunnies, you can do some crazy stuff with bunnies. Anyone see that Digidane, episode where he episode on the last time on Digidane Z? I'm so tired. You can do some crazy stuff with the engine. Just pop Marukimon in there. Enough said. But if you're going off of pure bunnies, pure, rampant rabbits, I think Rogue tier. Chess, I'm going to put that in Jank tier, despite the fact that you can technically put some new puppet stuff in there, but at that point, you should be playing puppets, so I'm going to put it in Jank. D-Links, I think, can do potentially well with the right matchups. The Floodgate effects can potentially do well against a lot of things. They can be really annoying against a lot of things. In general, I mean, this one, speed is not necessarily always a problem, because it then becomes more of a case of just playing stuff out, and kind of going for it, just going kind of full Mega Zoo. But I'm going to pop it in Rogue tier. I think that's where I'm thinking. Dex Doru. This could still potentially do some crazy stuff. I don't think I'd put it in tier 2 though, so I'm going to put that in Rogue tier as well. Like I said, I'm really going for it. Dorbeck, again, I think this is going to be a Rogue tier 1. This can do really well in certain matchups, can get some results, but I think I'm going to pop it into the Rogue tier. Deep Savers, probably one of the better field decks. Aegis-Dramon, if you manage to get into it quickly enough, it can do the business. It could do really cool, but I think, again, I'm going to Rogue tier it. I'm putting a lot of stuff in Rogue tier, and I'm not surprised by that. Emperor Hybrid does require a lot of setup, so it's very slow. I'm going to put it in Rogue tier again. Aosmon. If Aosmon gets going, it's nuts. Do I think it can get going in this format? No. Fenrimon, I think this is again another Rogue tier 1. The OTK is obviously not as good as it used to be when the BT17 Fenrir Lugumon wasn't restricted. So I'm going to put that in Rogue tier as well. Fortitude Tribal, quite possibly what? The worst deck ever in existence? Jank tier, go away. Apart from maybe 4 Great Dragons. 4 Great Dragons could be worse. Also Jank tier. For Sovereigns, there's an argument you could put it into Rogue tier, but I think it's too slow, too easily disrupted. I don't know necessarily if the big boy, what's his name? Begins with a H. I cannot remember, and he bores me. Therefore, he goes into the Jank tier. Gabu Bond. If I put Ogubond into Jank tier, I think I'm going to do the same with this. Gallantmon. Okay, so this is the first kind of proper deck we can talk about, really. I think Gallantmon can still do business. It's either tier 2 or tier 1.5, though. I think it's dropped enough to go to tier 2. I don't think it's tier 1. I don't think it's anywhere near tier 1. Now, people might disagree with me. They, a couple of sets ago, this was the most busted deck ever. To some people, for me, it's either tier 1.5 or tier 2. I think we're still going to see it around. It did get a little bit more wins than everything else we've talked about thus far. So I am going to be nice and put it in tier 1.5. Have that be the first tier 1.5. Green Gacha. Okay, so Green Gacha, I love. Green Gacha is really fun. It does a lot of really, really cool things. Digimon is my boy. However, as you might have guessed from a lot of these decks where I go, yeah, that guy is my guy, and I love him, and he's great, and he's awesome, and he's brilliant, and he's fantastic, and he's janked here. Grey Knights. This has been janked here since it came out of the box. Greymon Toolbox. So, technically speaking, just basically all Greymon. I think I'm going to put this in Rogue tier, and I'm going to probably do that for all Greymon decks going forward. Even the newer ones like Blackrock Greymon and Gaiamon, I think just all of them are too slow in general. Jellymon, I'm going to put that in Jank tier as well. Jumbomon, again, I love my Jumbo. I always like to experiment with Jumbo. I'm probably going to do another list involving Jumbo at some point. I was really hoping maybe we'd get a new one for Time Stranger, because I believe he appears in Time Stranger. I'm not at the point where he has yet, though I think I'm going to be there soon, because if you haven't been keeping up with me, I didn't actually start playing the game until like end of last year, about 2 months after it came out. And I'm playing it very slowly as well, so there's that. But Jumbomon is going to be Janked it. It just is. Legend Arms. Ooh, I feel like this deck does a lot more than most of these. I'd be tentative to put it in Rogue tier though, but I'm going to. Leomon, I think. Yeah, this is Janked tier now, isn't it? Leviamon. Okay, so this is a good anti-meta pick. And it consistently has been a good anti-meta pick for a while. I think we tier 2 that one. Lilith. Lilith is one of these two. It's Rogue or Jank. Do I think it could be Rogue in any sense? I don't think so. I'm going to put it in Jank. Lord Knight Purple base. With the dog engine, it could still potentially be quite quick. Have a bit of rush with Cerberusmon. Do some cool things. I think I'm putting it in Rogue tier though, which is funny because like Lord Knight 1X was like the boogeyman for a while. Magna Hybrid. If I put Emperor Hybrid in Rogue, I'm going to put that in Rogue too. Mamemon. Technically, you could play any Mamemon ever. So whenever there's a set that has a Mamemon, you could put a Mamemon in there. Bwah. Janked it. Marsmon. I love Marsmon. Marsmon is my guy. Again, I was hoping for a new one from Time Stranger. Hopefully we'll get one down the line in BT25, BT26. You know, those kind of sets. But it is Janked tier right now. Melga. I think if I'm putting all of the Greymon stuff in Rogue tier, I'm going to put this in Rogue tier as well. Mervaloop. Mervaloop can do some crazy stuff, potentially. It goes really wide. Block of Retaliation on the board. Let's Rogue tier that one as well. Why not? Millith. Janked tier. Easy. If I put the other Lilith in Janked tier, I put Millith in Janked tier. And again, people might be crazy by what I'm doing here, but I'm just it's what I'm going off a feeling. Mirage. Mirage is going to be getting support later down in the year, we would assume. With BT25, whether or not you play it as pure Mirage at that point, or if you play it more as Data Squad, I don't know, but we're not there yet. So right now, we're just going with what we currently got. 2 different limited cards in this deck as well. But I think I'm going to put it in Rogue. That'll be nice. Nature Spirits. I want Nature Spirits to be really good. I even tested it in this format because I had an idea to do a series of shorts where I do a, hey guys, I don't know what to play. Let's spin a wheel and see how I do at locals. And the first thing I spun when I was doing my test footage was Nature Spirits. And then I tested it on DCGO against BT24 and EX11 stuff and got my absolute sugar honey iced tea kicked to the curb. It's jank, and I really hope EX12 fixes it. Please, please, Bandai. Numemon. If Numemon ever comes off Numemon X ever comes off the ban list, or the limited list, sorry, it might make it into tier 2. As of right now, I'm actually going to put it in Rogue tier. Omnimon Ultra S, this is the older style. You can, of course, play the EX9 stuff in it. I don't want to put it in tier 2. I think I'll put that in Rogue tier. Pulsemon, I love Pulsemon. Pulsemon is great. And as with all the things I've said, with the things I love, the things I think are great, Janked it. Purple Hybrid. This is either a Rogue tier or tier 2. I think I'm going to pop that in tier 2. Purple Hybrid can still do some really cool stuff, even after kind of getting rid of their loops with the BT2 map. Ravemon, I think that's going to go in Jank straight away. Reaper, that's going in Jank as well. Rosemon, Jank. For no other reason, those 3 decks are all just, they've kind of been really crap or mid for a while, and we're only going to see them get worse, so off they pop. Red, Purple, Imperialdramon. I think this is I'd be tempted to put this in tier 2 with Blue, Green, Imperialdramon, but actually I think this is more Rogue tier now, because I think it depends on the meta you can find. I mean, it can do really well. I mean, in regionals last time we were out at Bristol, I got beaten by Red, Purple, Imperialdramon, playing Hoodie. and it was Alex playing it, of course. But then again, I don't think, in retrospect, my hoodie list wasn't the best. It wasn't like the mid-range control version that we see doing really, really well. It was like pure hoodie loop, which in a best of 3 format is rough going. But you know, unless you manage to high roll every time. Yeah, actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to go tier 2. Seadramon, underrated pick. I think Seadramon can do really well. Sam always does well with it. It did get it did get a topping win on that list we just saw there. Granted, they are all going to be locals matches probably, or locals games probably. For my respect to Sam as a Seadramon main, because he only plays this deck now, I'm going to put it in tier 2. It's probably rogue tier, let's really be honest, but I'm going to put it in tier 2 myself, just for personal bias. And if you guys don't like that personal bias, I suggest you vote and remove my personal bias through the power of democracy. Setcon. So we've got Setcon. Setcon can do cool. Technically, you can just put whatever options you want in it, and it'll be cool. I think I'm going to pop it in rogue tier. Seekers technically did get support. I don't think that support is that great, but I think it's enough to bump this from where I would have thought rogue tier to tier 2. I could be wrong, just where I'm feeling. Shakamon, jank tier, it's rubbish. Sylphimon, did get the new Sylphimon in BT24 and the new Gatomon, technically speaking. The new Sylphimon is cracked. It's really good, but it's mainly good in TS because of the fact you can DNA into it before you've even technically started your main phase, attack with it, unsuspend during the unsuspend phase, and then attack with it again. Because yeah, DNA Digivolution giving rush to whatever you Digivolve up into just is the rules, and it doesn't make sense. And I've said it for ages, and I don't like it, but you know, you can't really do that in Sylphimon though. So I'm going to put Sylphimon in rogue. Skull Hybrid. This is a joke deck that is only on here because of Jank Tank Legacy. I'm putting it in Jank. Source Strip, I'm going to put that in Jank as well. Source Strip can be really annoying to go against, but I just think it's not that great. Sukamon, I'm going to put that in Jank as well. Always, you know, is about, but there we go. Three Musketeers, obviously we saw it get a couple of wins there. I am going to be nice and put it in tier 2. Granted that, you know, again, I shouldn't let all those wins necessarily say how I should vote. There's more to just get an idea of how they're doing. It's not the de facto, oh yeah, this is how they did. But I just feel good. I feel good about being nice to Three Musketeers. Then my screen just blacked out randomly for a second there. Hopefully it didn't for you guys. Trains, put that in Jank tier. Tyrant, Capitarimon, I will put in rogue tier. War Greymon, I said I was going to put all the Greymons in rogue tier. Yeah. Well, I guess I've put Yellow Armor in rogue tier as well because I clicked on it. I possibly would have considered putting it in tier 2, but actually, no, I think rogue tier is fine. Yellow Hybrid, I'm going to put that in rogue tier as well. It's not that great. Yellow Lord Knight, I'm putting in jank tier. It's not that great, let's be honest. Adventure, tier 2 maybe, but we haven't seen it do well in a long time. Actually, I'm going to go rogue tier with the support from AD01. It will probably shoot up again, but for now, I'm popping it there. Atmon, we did see some Atmon lists do okay there. I think Atmon is one of those decks that can get really big, so potentially can do well in this format where being big is really important. I'm going to put Atmon in tier 2. Hero is getting support in AD01, but I should say, hence why I put Rogue Adventure into Rogue tier. We're not counting AD01 because we haven't seen all the reveals yet, so we're not counting it yet. It's not out. The reveals haven't been out. It's not out. Don't count it. Don't let AD01 sway your decision. Rogue tier for me. Despite the fact it can get big. It uses maybe I should have put it tier 2. I don't know. Justimon, I'm putting in jank tier. Magidramon. Magidramon was like the scourge of this game for a hot minute. But then Hoodie came along and all that sort of stuff. It was just like like that. So actually, this is kind of crazy. I'm putting Magidramon in rogue tier. And what? Red Hybrid, I'm actually going to put it to tier 2. I think it could potentially do well. I'm sure people will be looking at my picks and be going, the hell are you thinking? You are just clicking buttons. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. But it's just how I feel. If you don't like how I'm feeling with my votes, then I suggest you vote. Prove me wrong. Shine Greymon. I said I was going to put all Greymon in Rogue tier. I think I'm going to stick with Shine Greymon despite the fact it's probably one of the better Greymon lists. Very different, of course, to the other Greymon lists. It's kind of its own thing. But I'm going to put that in Rogue tier. Crossheart, we did see it get a win there. And win, to me, is Rogue tier. Abadomon, Rogue tier as well. Ariamon, okay. So we're now getting towards stuff that actually has got support recently. The Ariamon stuff is kind of gross in the sense that it has a lot of swings. It goes very, very wide. It's also got a lot of removal available to it. It's got a lot of jamming. It gains a lot of memory. It does a lot of crazy stuff. Do I think it's... I'm gonna be crazy. I'm gonna put it in tier 1.5. I don't think it's tier 1, but I think it's gonna pleasantly surprise us, this format. That's just where I'm feeling. That's just where I'm thinking. You know, that's where I'm putting it. Boltmon, yeah. Let's be honest, jank tier. That's where it's going. DM Chimera, Rogue tier or jank tier? I'm gonna actually. I mean, I do like the DM engine. To be fair, it's not one of the decks that uses that to its best though. Jank tier, I think, is where I'm thinking. DM Machine, I will put that in tier 2. I think that's a very hard thing to remove. Does a lot of cool things. DM version 1, 2, I will go in the middle of those two. I'll put that in Rogue. Gaiamon, I said I was going to put all Greymon lists in Rogue tier. That's where I'm putting that. Galaxy, oh, that's tough actually. Galaxy can do crazy things. Has been kind of always crazy since EX5. Got new tools, got new pieces. Could that mean in this format? Could it mean it's going to be too slow because it's so much of a build-up kind of deck? Yeah, ramps. Oh, it's definitely not Rogue tier. I'll put it in tier 2. Katorismon. Katorismon is a deck I love, and as you've seen, most of the decks I love, they go to jank tier. That's where I'm putting it. Leopardmon. Oh, you can do some cool things with Leopardmon. I've always liked the Leopardmon engine. It's one of these two though. I'm going to put it in Rogue tier. Lord Knight, Black Base. I think if I put the purple base in Rogue tier, I'll do the same with Black Base. Ulforce, I'll also put that in Rogue tier. There are better decks if you want this kind of playstyle, i.e. Ariamon. So I'm going to do that. Wind Guardians. If this gets the ball rolling, the Vortex Shenanigans are really cool, but I'm still going to put it in jank tier. I'm not that impressed by it. Gearmon Machine, which technically isn't really a deck, it's just a machine that uses a Gearmon engine, let's be honest. I will put that in... I feel like I put the other machine one up there in tier 2. I'll put that in tier 2. Omnimon, I think, is going to go to tier 2. Omnimon was incredibly broken back in BT24, but then it's slowly becoming worse and worse, but obviously still putting in some work here and there. So I'm going to put that in tier 2. And the same with the red base. Uranusmon, I will put that in tier 2 along with the other Atmon. Maybe? No, do I? I'll put Atmon in tier 2. Yeah, screw it, I'll put it in tier 2. Why not? That's probably up from where I used to put it, but, you know, formats change. Bagra. Bagra can do some really cool things, but it is incredibly slow. You know, the fact it can put things under tamers, it's such a unique way of removing things, but it does require a lot of memory. It needs to cross into things. It needs to do all that. I'm going to put it in Rogue tier. Beelzemon. I think Beelzemon's still kind of crazy, right? It's one of the best aces in the game. I'll put it in tier 2. Why not? Blackwall Greymon. This is another one where it's a great ace, but I feel like the problem with Blackwall Greymon in this format in particular is there are going to be a lot of cards that get around its protection effect. You can obviously do other protection effects with Greymon. You can use BT9 Greymon X, BT11 Greymon X. You can use your Yukos to get Digimon Effect Immunity, all these kind of things, so you can stack up your protection. But if you're just talking Blackwall Greymon, Hoodie doesn't care about its protection effect because it doesn't get big enough. Medusamon doesn't care about its protection effect because it's got ways of getting around it with other deletion effects from the Medusamons and stuff like Raging Serpentine if they take it in. I don't think Maruki cares about it, although Maruki does get big enough for it to be immune, but the fact is this is not going to get big enough to stop Maruki in any sort of meaningful way. So I think I'm going to put Rogue tier. Creepamon, Creepamon is kind of... Creepamon can bang, actually. I'm going to put it in tier 2. Why not? That's what I'm thinking. Dark Masters got a lot of results in Japan, as we saw. Dark Masters kind of is a really annoying deck to go up against, really, because it's basically what Setcon used to be, but is... Dark Masters is kind of like New Age Setcon, in a sense. I'll put it in tier 2. Why not? Deus 1, we've not seen this. I did put the other Atmon stuff in tier 2. Do we put this in tier 2 as well? Why not? Why not? My list. Gamamon. Gamamon can do some cool stuff with its stacks and its inheritables and with its real sense of aggression. But I think I'm going to put it in Rogue tier. Hunters. Have we seen Hunters do well since EX10? I'm going to want to say no. So I'm going to put it in Rogue tier. Meiosis Loop is still a thing. Some people have done well with it. I think it just struggled a little bit against certain tech cards in this format, though. It's either tier 2 or Rogue tier. I'll be nice to put it in tier 2. Belphemon. Belphemon gets absolutely huge, like jacked. Really aggressive, really hard to remove once they get up there. It's kind of slow, but I think it's one of the better purple decks right now. I'm going to put it in tier 2. Craniumon, I'll put that in jank tier. No one's ever done anything with that. CS Alphamon. Okay, so the Alpha stuff technically did get support with the new Digilab card, as did Hoodie. Hoodie makes much better use of it, though, mind you. Well, technically they make the same use of it. It's just it means more in Hoodie because you've got the loop shenanigans. This is either tier 2 or Rogue tier for me. I think it's too slow for a lot of this format, so I'm actually going to go kind of crazy and put it in Rogue tier. Dynasmon, I'm going to put that in jank tier. It just eats its own life too much. Eaters, again, quite slow. I'm going to put that in Rogue tier. Examon, again, has that argument of being too slow. I actually lost to this with Hoodie as well at Regionals, which is nuts. I think in general, I'll go Rogue tier. Why not? Grand Dracmon, who's cooked with this? Who's cooked with this? Apart from Team Deathslinger. I know Team Deathslinger would have cooked with it. But for me, I think Grand Dracmon's going into jank tier. Sorry. Okay. Hoodie Loop. Hoodie Loop. Hoodie. But the Hoodie, it says Hoodie Loop. So it should really be just Hoodie in general, really. But it's Hoodie. Come on. It's still tier 1, right? It's still tier 1. It's still really good. It's still got a great matchup going into a lot of these things. Like Vortextramon is a crazy card. Hoodie does not care about Vortextramon because it swings in, and then before they've done their I'm gonna fight you effect, it then is just like, cool, Comet Hammer, Digivolve, get lost, so yeah, Hoodiemon is still crazy, has potentially a very high roll, turn 3 OTK. Yeah, we're putting it in tier 1. Jessmon, I think this is a tier 1.5. It always does a really great pseudo OTK, but it never does quite well enough, I think, to reach tier 1 status, at least for me. So I'm going to put it in tier 1.5. The Lotmon Cherubimon stuff. Lotmon's a really fun engine to play around with, but it's going in junk tiers with the rest of bunnies. And technically speaking, that's the bunnies that Digidane used in that video I mentioned. Mastamon. Mastamon has a lot of utility in terms of how you can build with this card. You can play classic Mastamon list, you can play stuff with the dogs stuff, you can play CS. It doesn't matter, so long as you've got 2 same level cards underneath you, you can play whatever kind of list you want. So I don't think it's tier 1. I think I'm going to put it tier 1.5 for me. Poseidomon, I put the other, most of the other Atmon in tier 2. I think, however, I'm going to put this one in Rogue tier. There are just better versions of this deck that you could, Neptune is better than Poseido, for example. Shakuamon, I do like Shakuamon. I think I'm going to put it in the same vein as Sylphimon. Zaxxon is not even a deck. It's not even. It's not even. Who has built this deck? This is a tier below jank. This is unusable. But it's going in jank. Okay. If we're on proper BT24 stuff now. Abyss area, the Neptunemon deck. So obviously we saw it get a few different things on that Digimon card meta. It's obviously got you know, a lot of the TS engine to build around, so you can kind of play around with it. Do I think it's tier 1? It's tier 1 or tier 1.5 for me. I feel... Does this high roll as much as other stuff? It's not really a list I've tested out as much. I've seen some people play less optimal versions of it, but I haven't seen the proper version of it in action. It does do crazy OTKs, from what I understand. I think I'm going to put it in 1.5. That's just where I'm thinking. Central Town. Okay, this kind of similar vein. But I feel like this has much more broken high roll potential than Abyss area. So for me... do we put it in tier 1 or 2? I mean, if it low rolls, it does really bad, though. If it high rolls, it does great. I mean, we're in a real high roll format, to be fair. It's one of these tiers, tier 1 and tier 1.5. I will put it in... Hoodymon is lonely up there, but I will... I'll put it in tier 1. Screw it. I've done it. I've clicked it. I can't go back. Chaosmon. I do adore Chaosmon. If you manage to get up into the Chaosmon combo with the Singularity underneath, especially with the new promo Chaosmon, you cannot be beaten. It's unaffected by everything. You've got barrier underneath, so they can't really battle you either. They can't source strip you. They can't do anything. They literally cannot do anything. So I really like that. The low end on the deck, however, is atrocious. It's so bad. It desperately needs a new Digimon line. It desperately needs a complete line, because it's got 2 rookies. It's got 2 level 4s. It's got more level 6s in archetype than it does level 3s. That's stupid. But where does it go? Rogue. That's where I'm putting it. Diaboromon. Okay, so Diaboromon is, to me, one of the better black decks of the format. Possibly even the best black deck of the format now. It goes really, really wide. It has some really crazy combo potential with the Keramon X. The Keramon X, oh my god. In terms of rookies that changed a deck, I can think of no other rookie that changed a deck more than Keramon X. Keramon X is crazy. Diaboromon X wasn't even the highlight support from BT24. It was an SR, sure. It's really good for doing overclock, you know, and game finishing stuff, sure. But the Keramon X is where it's at, boy. It's really good. As for the deck, tier 1.5, I think I'm going to put it. Dinomon. Okay, Dinomon, I am torn over the new support, because on paper all of it is really good. And I have had some good fun with Tyrannomon. Obviously, we did a deck profile on it last week. The deck is sometimes a little bit confused, because you've got this new promo, the Primal Impact, that does your searches, and then if you play a Ryotaro, you get to Digivolve up into a level 6 or lower Liberator. That's really cool. But some of the better Tyrannomon cards you can play are not Liberator traits. So Metal Tyrannomon X, for example. Your Rust Tyrannomon, if you wanted to play that. So sometimes those combos don't line up very well, and I feel like you kind of need to push it in one direction or another to really get the full benefit out of its cards. So for me, despite the new support, especially because, like, yes, it potentially has got board-wide deletion, a lot of the really good tier 1, tier 1.5 decks just don't care. They either move too quickly, or they just Dinomon comes up and he's like, you know, I'm a fire in my laser. Blah! Very dated reference, I must say. Well done, Tired Brain, doing good. But stuff like Puppets, Medusamon, Hoodie to an extent does not care about that big board deletion. It just does not care. So I'm actually going to put Dynamon in row 2. Just where I'm feeling. Galacticmon. Okay, this is another black deck that potentially has the potential to be really good. It does do some crazy stuff. It's very defensive. It's got a lot of search. It's got the new assembly mechanic stuff to work with the EX11 Galacticmon. I'm feeling this may go into tier 1.5 territory. I could be wrong. It's just where I'm feeling. It's early days. It's all a bit of fun. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. Ghosts. I'm not particularly afraid of these ghosts in this format. I think they really struggle into a format where Crimson Blaze is so heavily used, and I think it's not one that can really get the ball rolling quickly enough to matter against the really good decks. So I'm going to pop this in tier 2. I think it could get some wins, but not as many as the others. Tier 2. Heavy Metal, even with the new support, this is jank, right? I think this is still jank. I went up against it a couple of times on TCG the other day, and every time they just got themselves down to less than 4 cards in hand, I blew up their shit, and then they couldn't recover because they had no cards in hand, funnily enough. Jank tier. I'm still putting it in jank tier. Could be wrong. The new support could be cracked, but yeah. Ice Snow. The new egg's really cool. Lets them attack unsuspended. With Ice Clad, that's really nice because it just means cool. I've got more sources than you. You die. Can potentially OTK. I think I'm going to pop that in tier 2 though. Invisimon, okay, new support in this does really help it. This new Invisimon is actually quite good. Has it jumped up to... Oh, I can't stop yawning. I'm really sorry. I'm so tired. Long day at work, and I've had so many issues with this video. It's getting late, and I just need to keep cracking on. Invisimon... Where are we thinking for Invisimon? Is it that good? And we're thinking Rogue, and we're thinking... Where were we thinking? Where? Let's go for... I'll put it in Rogue. Screw it. I'll put it in Rogue. Maybe that's not right, but I'll put it there. Jupitermon. Jupitermon, I think, of all the Time Stranger decks, is one of the one that's not impressing as much. But that's not to say it's bad. I think it just... it needs to have the right amount of board kind of control to actually kind of stop things and get things kind of rolling and to clear board. Obviously, it could do a lot of damage. I mean, minus 13,000 DP twice in one turn is nothing to be sniffed at. Especially as I believe the minus 13,000 lasts until the end of your opponent's turn. So even if something does survive, it's still going to have that minus 13. Maybe it loses its DP boosts once it goes to the opponent's turn. Maybe it just immediately, deletes. But I think I'm going to pop this in tier 2 is where I'm feeling. Lucamon, this technically got support with this new Tamer who, my God, needs to eat a sandwich. But, very gaunt. I'm actually not too sure. I think this card helps the deck considerably. Do I think it helps considerably enough to bump it up to tier 2? I don't think so. I could be wrong. I mean, it can technically speaking get a lot of security. Probably one of the best recovering decks in the game. But you don't win by giving yourself more security. You win by taking away theirs. Again, it can do some crazy stuff. It is quite obnoxious to go up against. No, I'm going to put tier 2 script. Machina. Okay, so this one is kind of interesting. So once you get into X Machina 1, it's kind of similar to Chaos 1 in the way. Once you get into your level 7, it's really hard to get past this deck. It's just huge. It does a lot of board control. It's fairly aggressive. But again, but it just... It struggles to make it to anywhere on time. Let's put it that way. So I think... I'm not going to put it in rogue tier. I think this could be a tier 2 deck. But I think people need to cook with it more and figure out what's going on. But it has the potential to drop down from tier 2 to rogue tier. For now, I'm putting it in tier 2. But I think... I don't know. Okay, Medusa. Medusa had the most wins that we saw on that little bit of collated data on Digimon card meta. The new support in it from EX11 is really good, giving it more access to rush, to draw, to raid, and piercing, which is nuts. Styrakomon, as a boss monster, is an absolute bastard of a card because he's just so immovable, you know, and he punishes you for trying to remove stuff from the board. You try and delete any of the reptile or dragonkins, he just goes, nope, you are getting deleted instead. It trashes something, it deletes something. It's got armor purge as well, so even if you do remove it, the stack will remain. Of course, if you're deleting it, other forms of removal will work. The only real way to stop Medusamon is with stuff like Digivolve. That's it. Obviously, that won't work if it's attacking in because Progress is really good. And Progress, when it first came around, people were like Progress. Progress is okay. Progress is cool. You know, you're unaffected whilst you're attacking. Cool. Yeah, that's fine. But now in a format where aces are not that great, where a lot of those aces don't do anything to Progress anyway, and even the ones that did kind of put effects that will last on them in this turn, then they're just not being played because they're too easily removed, too easily countered. Medusamon can do a turn 2, turn 3 OTK with the right setup if you've got your full line in hand. Poor Chris last week at our locals tournament. I turn 3 OTK'd him twice in a row. I think Medusamon is the best red deck in the game right now, and is very deservedly going into a tier 1 spot for me. Millenniummon. Okay. The two promos in this, of which one of them is pictured here, have really changed how this deck works and have really upped the ante with it. I mean, now it can memory gain out the wazoo, and it can just continue turn and do lots of, you know, cool stuff with the Millenniummons. It can do a lot of board control, it can do multiple checks, it can do a hell of a lot. It's technically not the purest purple deck out there, but I think it's probably, you know, the best purple deck there is. Technically, obviously, this one is red and black, but it's mostly purple, and I think it's one of the better kind of purple decks out there. Maybe not the best in the game. I don't know. Do I think it's tier 1? I think sometimes it's a little bit piece dependent. Once it's got those pieces, it can do crazy. But again, it's that speed which is a differentiating factor. I do think, however, it's better than everything I've put in tier 2, like without a doubt for me. So I'm going to pop it into 1.5. Nightmare Soldiers. I think even with this new tamer, which allows it to do some DNA shenanigans, I believe, I'm going to put that into rogue tier. Puppets. Puppets is back. It never really got to have real meta contention, I don't think, Puppets. And technically speaking, with Crimson Blaze running rampant, still that could make it, you know, not as good. However, I think it can be crazy enough to justify a tier 1.5 spot, at least for me. Rocks. Okay, Rocks to me is kind of the same deck as Medusamon in a sense. It doesn't have as much removal, it doesn't stick to the board as well, although it does have fragment, to be fair. It's very high roll and does a lot of things. But saying that, not a lot of results on that locals list. Not that I should be using all of that to influence me. It's either tier 1 or tier 1.5. I think I'm going to lean to tier 1.5, but you could very much justify it for tier 1 potentially, especially if it gets more wins going into the format. Royal Base. I don't think the support from EX11 for Royal Base was as impactful as stuff from BT23. I think it's okay. I think it's all right, but I don't think it's that great. So I think it can still potentially do well. Again, it's a setup issue. I think it's slower than the stuff up here, so I'm gonna pop it in tier 2. Royal Knights. maybe a controversial take here. I don't think Royal Knights is tier 1 or tier 1.5. I could be wrong, but Royal Knights is susceptible to turn 2, turn 3 OTKs. Yes, it could potentially go up into, say, for example, the Omnimon X, using the both the new Omekamon and the old one. However, against certain decks like Medusamon, they won't care. They'll still be during their attack whilst they're removing your security, so the progress will still be in place. You can't bottom deck them. You can delete other stuff, but then Starakamon would just be like, "Oh, you tried to remove you, did you?" Off you go. And then there's other stuff which I think just you know, do I want to put it in tier 2? Oh, I feel so wrong saying putting Royal Knights in tier 2. Definitely not tier 1 anymore though. Every Royal Knight player, let me know how much this hurts you. I'm putting it in tier 2. I've done it. I've clicked the button. Tsukuyamon. Tsukuyamon did get the support and Amethyst Mandala. I did get quite a few results. It was one of the ones with more results on that list. It's more control oriented than it used to be. I think. Actually, saying that, I probably should have put Royal Knights in tier 1.5 and put Gallantmon up there. I'd still say they were fairly equilateral in terms of how they are. Yeah, if I could take that back, I would put Royal Knights in tier 1.5. I can't though, so I put it in tier 2 now. Tsukuyamon can be kind of crazy still. I think I'm going to put it in 1.5. Titanmon, Titan's deck, did get a few results on that on those locals lists and things like that. Can go really wide, can do a lot of board control, can do a lot of really cool things. The issue with it though is it does give your opponent a lot of memory. So if they are just hiding in the back and you move out too quickly, they will really make you suffer for that. I think I'm going to pop it in tier 2. Also, Crimson Blaze it's very susceptible to Crimson Blaze. We put it in tier 2 though. Vortex Warriors. Okay. Hot take. I don't think this is a tier 1 threat. I think it's tier 1.5. And I'll say why. I think this requires a few more kind of like set up things in place than some of these other decks, because to make the most out of Vortextramon, you've got to make sure that you've got at least one thing on the board for you to do your suspends and get you do all that sort of stuff. It is really good. It's a game warping card potentially. I don't think it's going to be tier 1. This format could completely prove me wrong. I just don't think the deck is going to be tier 1. But I do think tier 1.5 is a perfect fit. And there we are. That's my list, how it's looking like. Very bottom heavy, as you can see. Not a lot up in the upper tiers. Like I say, I probably would have put Royal Knights in 1.5 actually now thinking about it. But this is my list. Let me know how you guys get on with your votes. Again, the link will be down below. So far, it looks like a couple of people already voted whilst I was doing my votes, which is cool. So let's kind of see where things have gone. Unless it's all the same. Unless they just... Did they dunk? Did they not actually vote? Did they give me false hope just to show me up? Looks like it, because there's only one vote on here. Okay, so ignore these two participants. They were a lie. On that note, log in if you're making your votes. You've got to make sure you're logged into the Tier Maker website. Otherwise, your votes will not count. You will just be doing it for the funsies. We'll see how this list gets on. I'll probably share it on the Discord, on the YouTube community post. Whether or not I'll make a follow-up video, I don't know. We shall see. Do you agree with any of my takes on here? In experience, probably not. But well, you know, I don't think my takes were too crazy. I think this is bearing in mind how big this tier list is, because our tier list is huge. We've got so many decks on here that probably shouldn't even be on here anymore, because most of them are irrelevant. But you know, I think this is okay. This is all right. But yeah, let me know how you guys get voted. I hope you had fun. Let me know if you would prefer I do tier lists in the middle of the format. Let me know if you would prefer I do tier lists near the end. Let me know if you're happy with me doing at the beginning. I'll be honest, I didn't really have many video ideas, and when Bone Duster said about doing the tier list vote, I just thought, yeah, let's do that. That's fine. That's cool. But yeah, like, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and we'll see you again on the next video, whatever that may be. Possibly something talking about the ban list upcoming. I do want to do a ban list video at some point. I probably need to work on it a bit though. I don't want to rush that. So it'll either be this week, if I get time enough to work on it, or it'll be next week, when we can talk about it properly. You know, hopefully I won't be slower than the other content creators out there. I probably will be. I'm usually quite slow to the punch. But anyways, I'm rambling. I am very tired. I'm going to go edit this video. I'm going to release this video. Happy voting. And I hope you guys enjoy the BT24 EX11 format. Let me know what decks you're playing. Anyways, see you next time. Keep it digital.